right, I'm Chris Avina with American Outdoor News. We're here with another episode of our podcast. We're here with Rob Bowker from Nick Bowker Hunting in South Africa. Rob, thanks so much for coming on.
Only a pleasure, Chris. Only a
So,
pleasure.
so Nick Bowker Hunting, is a family business.
Yeah, it is, Chris. We have been in South Africa since the 1820s. We're from British descent, and our family has been essentially sheep farmers in the
Wow.
Eastern Cape of South Africa, which is right down south. Since the 1820s, Nick has been hunting, for the last 30 odd years. He's been outfitting and or PHing. Um, as I guess everywhere in the world, farming has not held up. It's got quite tough. So, yeah,
You gotta diversify.
absolutely.
Now, you're in the Eastern Cape of South Africa.
Yes. So right in the south.
Okay, yeah, I've been there. We fly into Johannesburg, then go to Port-au-Prince,
Port Elizabeth.
Port Elizabeth, Port Elizabeth, and then drive a couple hours from there, right?
Yeah, I think it's the same for everybody. Yeah.
All right. So from here in New York, it's basically a 20-hour commute.
Yes, something like that. Yeah, direct flight to Johannesburg and then a short hop to Port Elizabeth.
Now, over 5 generations, your family has been there, starting out as sheep farmers and transitioning into a hunting operation. You've accumulated quite a bit of property in that time.
Yeah. So, Chris, the value of the property, it's quite low carrying property. Yeah. So it's not. I mean, that property can probably carry 5, 6 thousand sheep. So it's not high carrying property like a lot of your property in the US. So very, very, very different. Um, not ideal for stock farming, and certainly you can't farm crops.
Now
So
you
actually
look,
more suited to outfitting.
so you're looking at your core property is 150,000 acres.
Yes.
150,000 acres. And that's all free range.
Yes, that's all. So low fenced for just the standard like you have in the States, kind of barbed wire fences to keep the cattle and the sheep in. But nearly all animals, there are some that it will keep in check, but nearly all animals can come and go as they please. So we're very different to most other outfitters, which are high fenced, and they hunt within the confines of that high fenced area. Also, we have access to like basically 2 million hectares, so 3 4 million acres.
3 or 4 million acres. That's amazing.
So we can go across the Bedford area. Nick's lived there. We can go onto any of those farms and go hunting. So we cover a lot of ground. So all the way up into the mountains, in the Bedford Mountains or the Kacha Mountains, into the plains where we stay. We have a lot of river bush as well, dry river beds where we hunt in. So very varied terrain. Also unusual because most people have a smaller high fenced area, and the terrain is normally constant across that particular farm.
Now, the difference between high fence hunting in Africa and free range. I mean, you have people, some of these operations have 20, 30, 50,000 acres of high fence property. Once you're in the property, you basically never see a fence.
No, that's right. Absolutely, absolutely. So the bigger properties. Look, I mean, it's still there's nothing wrong with it. Not knocking it in any way. Um, a lot of the operations are very, very big, and yeah, you might not see the high fence.
Yeah, yeah, it's very different than high fence here in the States, where you might have 100, 200, 500 acres of high fence. Uh, but you know you're in high fence. It's different.
No,
Now,
absolutely. Yeah.
now your main focus is plains game
Yes, Plains game and Cape Buffalo.
and Cape Buffalo.
Yeah, so out of the big five, we only do Cape Buffalo.
Okay, well they're a hell of a hunt and definitely gets your blood pumping.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we have access to nearly all the Plains game in some shape or form. Some of it is behind high fences, so not everything you can hunt free range, but and some of the stock fences do keep in certain animals, such as a wildebeest will have a blessbuck will have difficulty going through a sheep fence.
Uh,
But you know, your kudu, your bushbuck, your warthog, your springbuck, your impala, your nyala, they can all cross a stock fence with ease.
there's so many different animals to hunt in Africa. If somebody's never been there, um, it's really an eye opener.
Yeah, and it's certainly, you know, all American hunters should get themselves to Africa at least once. It's not expensive. You know, the cost of your hunt, you can hunt, you know, 7 animals for $6,000-7,000 all in. That excludes your flights, so you're going to spend say 2 grand on flights, say 6-7 grand on your animals. The taxidermy and the shipping back is where the cost does increase. So you're probably going to spend another 4 grand on taxidermy and probably another 3 grand on shipping to get your animals back.
So really, for the cost of an elk hunt here in the States, you could hunt 4, 5, 6, 7 animals in Africa.
No, absolutely. And as one of the guys said, you know, he came out for the day and he said, "Well, I saw more animals today than I've seen in my life in the States."
Yeah, I was a little caught off guard myself when I went. You know, you drive through the plains and they're just all over and different species. You know, you see the wildebeest playing and running and doing their thing, and then you see the impalas doing their thing. They're literally a stone's throw away. You can shoot 5 animals in a day without even thinking about it.
Yeah, and we do cull hunts as well. So where you can do a 30 animal cull hunt. I think we offer sort of six different species, and you can do that for 5-6 grand. A lot of guys are very keen on that, so they come year after year. They and to shoot they spend 8 days, shoot their 30 animals. Um, Drink whiskey in the evening and watch the sunset. Yeah, they love it.
Now, is your main focus rifle hunts? You do bow hunts, crossbow hunts?
No, so we do nearly exclusively rifle hunts. We have tried a bit with bow hunting, but it's just too difficult. The free range element, you know, you need to get into 50, 60, I guess, yards, and that's just yeah, it just doesn't work. So we don't have, you know, they're dedicated place for bow hunters, and it's better that the bow hunters go there. That you know they have feeding points and water holes and the like.
Yeah.
We don't have any of that, and so the bow hunting is really walk and stalk, and it's extremely difficult. There have been one or two guys who've done well, but the majority have just really struggled.
And your hunts are primarily rifle, spot and stalk. You'll
Yes,
drive around in the Jeep and glass and go from there.
exactly. Yeah, we also have a number of spots in the mountains where we'll drive to a point and we'll sit there for a couple of hours glassing, and then work a plan and start the stalk from there.
Is there any dangerous game in the area?
Yeah, so we have access to Cape Buffalo, but they are fenced, so they can't get out of the fenced area. But to be honest, unless you're hunting against the Kruger Park or one or two areas in against Botswana or Cape Buffalo in South Africa are fenced in some shape or form.
No lions roaming the area.
Yeah, you can do. I mean, there's no free range lions, but you can do lion hunting a bit further up. But it is, yeah, it is controlled. and the lions are to a greater or lesser extent fed.
Now, for somebody going to Africa the first time, what could they expect and how could you advise them for their first hunt?
Keep it simple. So use our rifles. We have high quality rifles. So leave your rifle behind. That just immediately takes out a whole lot of stress and paperwork. So essentially, set in mind you're just going on holiday. You pack a small case, you jump on a plane, we pick you up in Port Elizabeth, and you don't have to lift a finger until we drop you back there in Port Elizabeth. So a lot of guys from the US they overthink it, overcomplicate it, and they really don't have to. Just say I'm going on an annual holiday. Jump on your plane with us because we do washing every day. So you don't even. I mean, the guys that come regularly don't even have luggage. They just have a hand luggage.
Yeah, I think that's something that most people will do. They'll overpack when
Overpack,
reality, you need an overnight bag with 2 or 3 changes of clothes.
yeah, and overthink the whole thing. It's not, it's the majority of there's always bad apples, but the majority of the outfitters in the Eastern Cape are good people. It's highly competitive, so the prices are not high. Just don't overthink of it. Just take the risk, jump on the plane, come see what it's like. You won't look back.
So, what calibers?
We use 300 Win Mags exclusively. So Nick does all his own hand loading. They all have suppressors, and they all have Swarovski glass with turrets. Yeah.
So, should we bring ammo or?
No, ammo is included in the deal. So all our deals, no matter how you decide to hunt, the rifle's included free of charge plus ammo. So again, that's just a simplification process. So people don't have to think about that and worry it and calculate how many shots they're going to fire and et cetera, et cetera.
So if we just bring 4 or 5 boxes of ammo just for the
No,
hell of it,
you don't have to bring any ammo. We provide the ammo.
Okay. I just figured bring it and leave it with you for the next people.
No, so you need a rifle as well. It's got quite strict of late. So no, you can't do that. So don't do that. In fact, so we do all our we hand reload. You could pick up if you want to be helpful, for at least it relates to us, you can bring a whole lot of brass, 300 Win Mag brass, because that you can bring through without any problem.
Okay. What about taxidermy? I know you have taxidermists that you recommend, you supervise, and you've been dealing with them a long time.
Yeah, so it's the local taxidermist in our area, which we obviously support. He does, I would say, in any year, he probably does 3,000 shoulder mounts.
Wow.
So it's a big operation, well trained, experienced. Look, there are from time to time things do go wrong with taxidermy. That's unfortunately that happens, especially with the crating. Crates get dropped, but 95% of the time we don't have any problems. It's certainly a lot cheaper than in the States,
mm-hmm.
When you factor in the shipment as well, it's just much easier to get it done in South Africa.
Now, lodging. I know people have this perception of when they're going to go on a safari, they're going to be roughing it. That's the furthest thing from the truth, isn't it?
No, we have a brand new 5-star lodge. You're going to have your own room, ensuite shower. You're going to have a bar. You're going to have a lounge. You're going to have Wi-Fi. You're going to have food not dissimilar to that you eat in the United States. You're going to have the beverages that you used to in the United States. We obviously know what you guys like, and it's all available. You can eat as much as you want and drink as much as you want. That's all included in the price. So we like to keep the whole process as simple as possible. and as transparent as possible.
And plenty of biltong.
Yeah, plenty of biltong, plenty of whiskey, plenty of beer, plenty of red wine, whatever works for you.
Now you have a number of different hunting packages that you offer from like $4,000 on up. Uh, can we customize a package?
Yeah, sure. So you can just go and pick your animals, and we'll give you a price, all inclusive price.
All right. So if I didn't get a kudu, a gemsbok, and a zebra, I could customize that
Yeah,
with.
sure, sure, absolutely, absolutely.
All right.
Um,
So after 5 generations, what's next? Are your kids running the operation now, or
no, so we both have daughters. So, certainly my daughters won't be, but Nick's daughters might well take up the mantle. They both hunt, so yeah.
I don't care who I hunt with. You can't guide the guide. You got to do what they it's your backyard, right?
Yeah.
You know better than I do.
Yes, no, it will make for a much more higher quality hunt if you just listen to your PH. He's doing it 8 months of the year. He probably hunts 50, 60 clients in a year. He does know.
I've guided some hunts myself, and there's always that one guy that knows better. And I'm sure you've come
Absolutely,
across it.
absolutely, absolutely. You always know that when the PH comes back after the first day, and you can see his head hanging, and you know, oh dear, one of those guys.
Uh, so, so, what can we expect for this coming year? Do you have do you see more species than another, or
No, we look after everything as much as possible. So we do tweak the packages and take out animals and put in other animals based on what we see is going on in terms to take the pressure off some of the species if we think that needs to be done. But ultimately we're the beneficiaries of all the farmers that are there and have all these species available, and our relationship with them is obviously very important. Um, that's crucial to our whole hunting operation, and also gives us just so much flexibility and variety, and ultimately a much higher quality hunt than if you're in a fixed area driving the same roads all the time.
well, I know for me, my ultimate African trophy that I have not gotten yet is a sable. That is just an absolutely gorgeous animal
Yeah, we
and a
we we
beautiful mountain.
we shoot a lot of sable, a significant amount of sable. Yeah.
Do you have something that you prefer? What's your favorite animal to hunt with?
So the if you ask any of the PHs, it'll probably be warthog. The, the locals love shooting warthog. It's like a national. Yeah, they'll turn out on the weekend and drive around in their truck shooting warthog. That's like the then probably kudu bushbuck
Uh,
is what the locals prefer, and then there's also kind of a select few that like bush pig and Far Ribbuck. Those are the sort of iconic Eastern Cape species that the guys, yeah, the locals shoot, for during their spare time.
do we get to eat what we shoot?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's some sort of venison every day.
Absolutely. Amazing. All right.
Um,
Well, where can we find information about you?
yeah, so you can just find on the website nickbowkerhunting.com. We have a comprehensive website on with our packages. The whole process is available there. We keep the booking process extremely simple. So you just send us an email. We agree some dates. There's no deposit. You don't have to pay a deposit. You only pay at the end via card, so that you don't have, make sure that you're happy. And especially if the booking's over the internet and we haven't met you, we understand that parting with your money is you might not feel comfortable with that. Yeah, so you don't have to part with any money. All you have to do is book flights. That's all you're in for. Get on your flight, fly here, and you pay at the end.
All right. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to speak to us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you at some of the shows this year.
All right, Chris. Yeah, you have a good evening, sir.
All right. Thanks again.
All right then. Bye-bye.